Every civilization, including our own, is built on a story. And for the last few centuries, our story has been all about progress. This idea that technology and reason are going to make life better inevitably. But what if that story has a devastating blind spot? Let's dig into the unseen costs of our relentless drive forward. This quote from the economist E.F. Schumacher is really going to be our guide here. It's such a powerful challenge to the way we normally do things, right? It asks us to stop and think not just about what we build, but how and why we're building it in the first place. So yeah, this core story, our modern tale of progress, it's like the invisible architecture of our world. It's the lens we use to decide what's important, what we should build, what we should protect, and honestly, what we're willing to sacrifice. And for about 300 years, that story has been pretty simple. The future is just a series of upgrades, with each generation living better than the last. And hey, let's be super clear, this story has led to some incredible achievements. I mean, things we totally take for granted now. Antibiotics, the ability to read, connecting with people on the other side of the planet. These are all direct results of that belief in constant improvement. It has genuinely reduced a massive amount of suffering for billions of people. Okay, but this is where the story takes a turn. Our idea of progress taught us to measure success really, really narrowly. We count the stuff that's easy to count, GDP, speed, volume, and we just ignore the things that aren't, like the health of our ecosystems or how much we trust each other. And this blind spot, well, that's where all the hidden costs are buried. Let me give you a perfect example. Way back in the 1920s, a chemist named Thomas Midgley Jr. had what seemed like a brilliant idea. Just add a little tetraethyl lead to gasoline. And you know what? It worked. Cars ran quieter, engines performed way better. It was held as this huge industrial triumph, the perfect technological fix. But that perfect solution came at a truly staggering and, for a long time, invisible cost. Every single mile driven released these microscopic particles of a powerful neurotoxin into the air we all breathe. The fallout from that? Researchers now estimate a global loss of 824 million IQ points. Think about that. An entire generation subtly poisoned, all for the sake of a smoother running engine. And the thing is, the story of leaded gasoline isn't some one-off mistake. It's actually a predictable outcome of a flawed system. It's a pattern where a small, local improvement ends up creating a huge global wound. And once you see the pattern, you see it everywhere. Thalidomide was a wonder drug for morning sickness that caused horrific birth defects. Asbestos was a miracle fireproofer that we now know kills over 100,000 people every year. And today, we're dealing with forever chemicals in our water and an attention economy designed to fragment our minds for profit. It's the same pattern, just a different product. So this all leads to the big question, right? Why do we keep falling for this? Why do we so often mistake something dangerous for genuine advancement, only to realize the true cost when the damage is already done? Well, the answer seems to lie in a few really powerful forces that are always at play. First, there's complexity. Our world is this giant web of interconnected systems, and when we apply simple, linear solutions, we often get these wild, unpredictable failures. Second, competitive incentives. In the race for market share, the cautious person, they always lose to the one who moves fast and breaks things. And finally, something called epistemic lag. That's just a fancy way of saying there's a huge time delay between when we do something and when we finally understand the full consequences of what we did. So to break out of this cycle, we need a whole new goal. The economist Herman Daly gave us this crucial distinction. We have to separate the idea of growth from development. See, growth is just about getting bigger. More stuff, more volume, more throughput. But development is about getting better, more efficient, more just, more resilient. The analogy he uses is so simple but so powerful. We don't want a child to just keep growing physically forever, right? That would be monstrous. We want them to develop, to mature. For a long time, our entire civilization has been obsessed with endless physical growth. It might be time we shift our focus to maturity. So what does a mature civilization even look like? Well, for one, it stops thinking in terms of extraction, just taking from the earth, from communities, from the future. Instead, it moves toward regeneration. It designs systems that actively heal and strengthen and replenish the very foundations they depend on, from the soil under our feet to the trust between us. And of course, this brings us to measurement, because we chase what we measure. It's just human nature. If our main definition of success is based on endless growth and extraction, it's because our scoreboard, our main economic metrics, are telling us that's how you win the game. Robert F. Kennedy said this all the way back in 1968, and wow, is it more relevant than ever. Our main metric, GDP, literally goes up when we cut down a forest or when there's a natural disaster. It just measures activity, not our actual well-being. It counts the costs of our failures as economic gains. It's absurd when you think about it. So, the solution is pretty clear. We have to evolve the scoreboard. We need to move from these outdated metrics like GDP and quarterly profits to a new dashboard that actually tracks what matters, things like ecological health, social trust, and individual well-being. And this isn't just a fantasy. Pioneering models like donut economics, which tries to meet everyone's needs within the limits of the planet, and national well-being budgets are already showing us a different way forward. All of this brings us to a new and I think much better definition of progress. One that isn't about power or control, but about flourishing. A definition that places humanity back within the living world, not as its master, and extends our circle of care to future generations and the whole web of life. And that leaves us with this final, challenging thought. The old story of progress was all about conquest, about domination. The new one, it has to be about conscious participation. Can we use all of our incredible human ingenuity not to control the world, but to become better partners with the living systems that actually sustain us? That, I think, is the question our generation has to answer.